Alright, so we're looking at the orthographic projection now, right? Now, you know that we did orthographic projection 1 week, right? And you know that in orthographic projection, we usually have three views or three elevations. The front view, the end view, or you can also call it the side view. And the third one is called the plan view, or they also say the top view, right? So the names are pretty straightforward, right? You're basically drawing how these objects would look like from these different views, right? Now, we're going to be using the front of the hexagon as in this direction here, right? Where you have one small rectangle, another small rectangle, and you have another shorter rectangle, another smaller rectangle here on the right as well. Alright, just to make you understand easier, the lines that I'm highlighting here would be the three rectangles that you would view when you view this from the front. Right? Similarly, from the end view, you would be seeing two rectangles, right? Which would be this one and this one that I'm highlighting here. And when you view this from the top, you would be seeing the hexagon and the hole in the middle, or the circle in the middle, right? So you need to be able to um, imagine, or you need to be able to infer basically what the view would look like when you're viewing this, say from directly the front, or from the end, or from the top or the plan, right? Now, what you could do before you start drawing, you could make your rough sketch basically of what the views are going to look like, right? But I don't think I should be going through all of that, since I already explained what orthographic projection is when we did it that 1 week in class, right? So we can make a start here. Now I'm just going to use the default layer here to start drawing the front view, and as you can see here, we have the length for the front view, which would be 90. So we can actually start drawing the first line here. And before I draw that line, I'm still on isoplane, so I'm just going to disable isoplane, right? So remember that isoplane is specifically for isometric, and when you're drawing in orthographic, you want to have ortho mode turned off, right? So if you notice, the name basically tells you, right? Isoplane would be for isometric, and ortho mode would be for orthographic, right? It's pretty obvious. So we can start by drawing this line here, which is a 90 mm length, 90, and we know that from here the thickness is 15, so you can move down 15 mm, and we can come back here with the same length, which is 90, and then we can just enclose this hexagon, sorry, rectangle here. But remember, you're not just seeing one rectangle, right? This is the total length, yes, but this rectangle would basically have lines dividing it, right? And this is where these measurements are going to come in. So you notice that from the left you have this 23, and from the right you have another 23 as well, right? So that's going to give you the two other rectangles that are inside this one. So to make your life easy, you can use what we call the offset tool, which is this here. So you click on offset. We know the measurement is 23, so you type in 23, and we basically offset this here towards here, and we offset this here towards here. So that there is going to give you your 23 measurement on the left and right. And this is basically what your hexagonal nut is going to look like when you view this object directly from the front. So that's why I was saying earlier, you have to be able to imagine it, right? And you have to imagine like that you're taking this here and you're viewing it at eye level directly in front of you, and this is what you would be seeing, right? So what we can do now, we can draw our guidelines, because remember, you need to have your guidelines separate in your views, right? So we're going to switch to a guideline layer, and we're going to draw our first guideline, which is this way. The measurement doesn't really matter, since you could always resize it, or you could always trim out the extra, right? And you're going to have another guideline going this way as well, right? So I'm just going to extend this guideline here upwards. So we have two guidelines so far. Now this is another recap for you if you don't remember, but by default the measurement or the spacing between the views should be 20 mm. So you're going to use your offset tool here. You're going to type in 20, press enter, and you're going to offset this line towards the right, and you're going to offset this line towards the bottom here. So now you have your 20 mm space in there, and now we can draw the other views. So this space directly at the bottom here is going to be used for the plan view, because the plan view is found below the front view. Remember, this is force angle orthographic projection, right? And the space on the right hand side here is going to be used for your end view, right? Seeing that the end view is on the right hand side of the front view. So we can start by drawing our plan view here for us, right? So instead of drawing another hexagon, we can simply just copy this here, and I'm going to move it, using the midpoint here. But when I move it using the midpoint, you come across an issue here, right? And I specifically did that to show you what you can do basically when you have these issues in AutoCAD, right? Now your plan view here is supposed to be touching this 20 mm guideline, right? So if your hexagon is passing this line, or if it's away from the line like mine here, it's very easy, right? It's not very difficult. I'm just going to extend this here a little more. You don't really need to, but just for neatness sake, I'm just going to extend it there, and I'm also going to extend this one. Right. So what you can do, you can select the shape, and then you can use your move tool, and you can move it towards the line here, so that now it's touching the 20 mm guideline there. Alright, and now you have your plan view in line with your front view here. Alright, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. So sometimes when you have issues, or you have inaccuracies in your construction using AutoCAD, you need to be able to make use of these tools here to make your life easier, right? Or to correct whatever inaccuracy you have. So next thing, we gotta get this circle in the center here. We know the circle is 28 diameter and 14 radius. And the good thing with AutoCAD is this for this hexagon here, we don't need to draw back the center line. It should have the center when we start drawing our circle. So come to circle, you choose the one that says center radius, and yeah, you see, if I move my mouse on the outer part here of the hexagon, it's showing me the center point there, right? So you just click on the center point and you put in your radius, which is 14. So we did not need to draw the center line here on the orthographic, right? And I'm actually supposed to do that with the default layer. So I'm just going to change that to the default layer. And usually when you make a mistake like that, it reverts back to the layer that you were previously using, so you would need to change it back, right? So as you can see here, I'm changing back to the default layer now. So now we just need to draw the end view, and looking at the hexagon here again, we know that the length here is 78, and we gotta get two rectangles. So the two rectangle would be this distance here, or the division then would basically be this distance here, which is 39, right? So you can start by drawing your line here, which is 78. We know the thickness is 15, so you can put in the thickness there, and then you can come down back here and close off your shape. And we know that the division here is 39, so using your offset tool, you're gonna type in 39, enter, and you just offset this here, and just like that, you have your front view, your end view, and your plan view. And if I use the measure tool here to show you, see, 20 mm spacing in between the views, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. So now, to make your drawing much more neater, you could use your outline tool here. You could change the outline layer, sorry, and you can just outline the entire shape here, or all of the views, and it would make your drawing pop, or it would just give a better presentation then, basically. And as students that use AutoCAD, that's what you basically want, right? Things like this that go for presentation, you would want to incorporate that in your drawing. So see that? It looks way better now, and you have your guidelines that are thin and light, so drawing looks way better now. So you have your isometric there, and you have your orthographic here. And what you're going to do for me, you're going to dimension your orthographic for me. I'm not going to show you what to dimension, but I basically want all of the dimensions that are shown here. You're going to see how you're going to dimension it, and as well as the circle, right? I would want you to dimension this circle here as well. So all of these dimensions here, as well as the circle. When you're finished, you can save your file. Save it with your name and hexagonal knot. And that's what I'm going to use to mark, right?